TikTok, it's time to rock, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew, and I have with me, as usual on the Sunday show, the rock professor on the top tier, and Brad, the backdoor man, all the way from Melbourne, locked down there on the bottom, holding us up. Good to see my brothers here on the Sunday show. Simon, what's been happening with you the last couple of days, brother?
Well, it's all go here. Well, or all normal here. I did have a lovely day out in Wales yesterday, visiting an old university friend of mine. But yes, very nice, beautiful. He's just bought a house there in the middle of nowhere. It's amazing. You stand in the garden and you can cut your ears like that. And there are no cars. We didn't hear a car the whole day we were there. Not a single car. It was lovely.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What about you, Brad, the backdoor man? What have you been up to? Before you answer that, I'm going to have to look. If you don't want your co-host referring you to that wonderful nickname, Brad, the backdoor man, this is your time now.
Even if I wanted it to disappear, Andrew, I think it's there forever now.
I think so. Good reply. What's been happening, brother?
Typical Melbourne life. I've been pretty busy actually. I've working full time now, and so that's kept me busy, and working on a little bit of music in the background and things like that, and big phone discussions with Mr. Simon Hosford, and
great.
Caught up with Philip Sace this morning for a little chat.
Oh, my friend Philip Sace. Clang!
Yeah. I'm name dropping all the way along, mate. Two of the most amazing.
Good, well done.
I've chatted to all week. That's great. But yeah.
I'm just jealous and envious that I'm not doing it.
Mate, you've got both you guys have got your you guys you talk to, so it's just nice. I've been busy, but it's been great.
Oh, I'm glad, bro. I'm glad. I just want to do a special shout out. We've got our normal shout outs to do, but I just want to make a point again to John ZD351, who's been doing some awesome show cards. And for some people who don't understand the cultural reference, the cultural significance of our backdrop, and I'm going to drop my co-host out and just show you what he's done. The fact that he's put our faces to what is a seminal British electric blues album kind of still blows me away, and I'm humbled by it. I just think it's fantastic. It was a nice surprise to see, and
brilliant.
What's the word that I'm looking for, guys? Humbling. It's humbling.
It's definitely humbling, and for me to see it, I was just like, wow! Like for someone to actually take that amount of time and effort. And John, thank you so much. We're grateful. We express our gratitude in the best way possible, mate. That's the best way I can put it. Thank you so much.
So, what he's done, though, ladies and gentlemen, is he just hasn't put my ugly mug or Simon's mug on there and Brad's and Kurt's. He's actually picked. He's gone through. He's picked. He's the poses like Simon is looking down.
Yeah, looking down.
Brad the backdoor man's got that cheesy like grin going on. Like I love it. Oh, and I think he's caught me pretty well there. He's caught me pretty well, and the Rev, is on there as well. So thank you, John. Humbling.
Yeah, and I'm just thankful to be Eric Clapton. There we are.
Oh, yeah. You're reading the bean. Actually, the one of Andrew
Yeah, that's
is
about right. That's about right level.
perfect. Like the picture, the face he put on of you, it just is like it's
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse, man. It's
yeah,
perfect.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'm humbled by it. So that's my Facebook page banner. I'm going to probably change our YouTube banner to something like that as well. And it's going to be the backdrop on our show for a few shows. I just think it's remarkable. Great, thank you, and also John, big shout out also to doing the time zone
The time zones thing.
banners for us, man.
Sorry, I'm so cack-handed with it, but still get there eventually.
We'll get there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's amazing because John's just doing it out of the goodness of his heart. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what else he's got cooking there because obviously he's got a talent. So, John, welcome to the production team on the British Electric Blues and 5150 show. You've got a position here. You nominate yourself, guys, if you want to get on the production team, and we might even do a run. We might even have a banner doing special little shout-outs. So if you guys want to help us by just doing something like that, or sharing our channel. Guys, we're 750 members. Simon,
Wow.
Yeah.
Rock Professor.
Yeah. Fantastic. I know that when
John-
somebody...
Sorry, Simon.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, Andrew, I don't know. I haven't seen it come up anywhere, but please share John's Instagram page as well and help grow his little Instagram page there as well.
Oh, well, I'm going to do another little shout out to you guys too. So when we reached 750, we got the community page on our YouTube channel.
Oh, right.
So if you go to our YouTube channel now and scroll along on the menu there, you'll see we've got a community page. So I put a shout out to the 5150 show that we did for EVH, and I've put a tag to Brad's Instagram account on there as well. So if you guys just give me a few more days, I'll put the Hosses there, I'll put the Rock Professors, I'll put Kurt's, I'll put John's. So if you guys want us to do that, I can do that on our community page. So it's a nice little thing, nice little feature that we've got for the channel.
Oh, yeah. There we are. Look. Yeah. So look at that now. Fantastic. Look at that. 752 subscribers. Which is
I think we're
excellent.
we're very grateful and we're very proud of ourselves for doing it because we're just we're doing this for a bit of fun. We're fans of the music we're going on about, and it's humbling because we've grown a lot in the last 12 months as well, haven't we? Like in the last 12 months, it's grown a lot.
Yeah. And shout outs to everybody. So including all the cats in the chat and cats and kittens in the chat. I've got to remember that, Rock Professor. Cats and kittens in the chat.
Yeah.
So who are the cats and kittens in the chat?
So, let's see what we've got today. We have Tim Thomas. Good morning, Tim. Jay, 7/8. Quick, look. I've listened to this. I've been going from he's in this to this. No, that's my 2 albums I've been listening to. I've been listening to that as well. Jay's
Wow.
which is right out of my wheelhouse. But you know what? I've listened to it 4 times. So it must be, it's I can only say it keeps in the car, keeps going round, and I keep listening to it. It's a thing. So well, Jay, congratulations, Jay. It's fantastic. Anybody who makes music, it's really difficult. You've got a lot of time, a lot of stuff going on to get out a CD, and get it out. And I'm happy to have bought it and try to support my fellow musicians a bit. So yeah, it's worth checking out. It's a thing. And quite a contrast to Humble Pie. It's so thanks, Jay. John, the D35 Run. Thank you very much, and for all your contributions. making me Eric Clapton particularly. We've got Teresa. Good morning, Teresa from Brazil. We have the dog pa. Good morning, dog pa. Woof, I think is the is the accepted greeting. Mark Tanner. Good morning. Arvin, of course. Arvin Gaunt. Good morning, Arvin. Hope you're good,
Hey,
man.
Arvin.
Good to see you. Ellen. Good morning, Ellen. As ever, there to support us. Thanks, Ellen, for your support. Hugh Caldwell. Good morning, Hugh. And I think that's who we've got right now. Hope I didn't miss anybody. And so welcome one and all. Good morning. I hope you're all good, safe, well. And,
Yeah, fantastic.
yeah.
Fantastic. That's really good. Thank you, Rock Professor, for doing that. And like I said, guys, so just watch that community page. And as usual, my co-hosts, if there's anything in particular that you want us to throw on there, just let me know. Any shout-outs. But, yeah, just another little thing that we can do. So thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Rock Professor, for the subscription that we received. The channel really appreciates that. And also, I've got to do a shout out to the Rev. He sent a bit of a donation to the channel too. So always got to do those kind of shout outs. Brad Backdoor Man, you've got a couple of special shout outs that you got to do before we get things kicked off, my brother.
Yes, shout out to Warren, our good friend Warren. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing you soon, man. And
can I just say, Brad, hold on. Can I say good morning to Heather Perriam? Good morning, Heather. How are you? She's in America. She's married to somebody who I work with. So fantastic of her to drop by.
Oh, well,
lovely.
Heather,
Sorry.
here in New Zealand, we say g'day. So I think our Australian brothers say that too. So g'day, Heather from Hamilton, New Zealand. Thank you for joining the Rock Professor and I and Brad the Backdoor Man Cook.
Yes. And thanks, all the people that have been subscribing and watching the channel, watching the shows, the amazing effort that everyone went to for the EVH tribute show that we did, that Andrew put together, was extremely successful, and it's cracking up some amazing views there, Andrew. I've noticed it's over 2,000 views now.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. So all credit to the legacy of EVH. All credit to what he's, what he's left us.
And fantastic effort by everyone involved. Back in the back end of it, and the ones that came on the screen. Thank you for joining us, contributing. We know Simon was contributing. He was probably. The time that Simon was going to jump on, I think there was about 10 people on. So he bowed out and let the others contribute, which is really thank you, Simon. And I wish I could have stayed all day, but I could only come in that last couple of hours. But that was really cool. It was a great show. I've watched it all in its entirety, not from start to finish though. I've had to watch it in segments. It's just too long to sit there for 8.5 hours watching.
Yeah.
Well
good
done.
morning, Julia. And thanks, Hugh. Very good.
Yeah.
Mark Tanner, good morning.
Massive effort.
Awesome.
Yeah. Massive effort.
Yeah, it was. It was brilliant. It was really cool. Yeah.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen Julia. Hey, Julia. Yeah. She used to pop on regularly. Good to see you, Julia. So,
I got to
Rock Professor.
I've got one more thing to say. I've got one more thing. I just saw this, and I see that they finally caught. Can we get this to come on? Can we that they finally caught onto you and fired you, Andrew? New Zealand City takes its official wizard off its payroll. Now, that must be you underneath.
No, because the magic eye cast is for free.
Here we go.
I don't charge my magic. My magic is for free. You want to taste it, sample it, it's there.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Simon, for putting me in that illustrious category of New Zealanders anyway. The beard. It's always the beard.
It's always the beard. Yes, I know. It's a cheap gag. That's me, Mr. Cheap Gag. It had to be said, though, didn't it? I love the idea.
We better isolate that for everybody so they can see it. But they probably didn't see that little thing that you poked up there in front of the screen.
See if I go on.
Have a look at that big thing there. There it is.
There he is. Look.
I can say that's not me.
Are you sure? It looked enough like you. I thought that's coming on tomorrow's show. It so is. I love the idea. For 2 decades, Christchurch has had an official wizard.
Well, I am the Wizard of Hamilton. So I have been. Yes, I am the Wizard of Hamilton.
Wizard.
Okay, you've busted me. You've doxed me.
He's like, you're the Gandalf of Hamilton.
I may be the backdoor man, but Andrew's the Lord of the Rings.
Hey. Oh no! Yeah, be careful.
Steady
be
now.
careful.
Steady now. Easy, tiger.
Oh Lord!
Dear.
The Sunday show. Well, you know what? We're going to charge tickets for people to hang out with us in the green room. I think this is probably that has to be a competition. Hang out with us in the green room. Yeah. You're right. I can think of better things to do.
It had to be done, though, did it? It had to be done. Dear.
Okay. Rock Professor.
Anyway, shall we? Let's take us away on the this week's album.
Should we get back to
Humble
work?
Pie.
Should we get back to work?
Let's get back to work. Humble Pie. Enough of this wizardry. So yes, Humble Pie, this week's album, perform at Rock in the Fillmore. I hope everybody enjoyed it. It's quite an album. It's a proper 1971 album, I think. So Humble Pie, formed in 1969 by Steve Marriott, of course, from the Small Faces, Peter Frampton, of course, soon to go on to much more fame with Frampton Comes Alive, but coming from a group called The Herd, who were like more of an English pop band, really, chart band. Former Spooky Tooth bass player Greg Ridley, catch up with Spooky Tooth, and 17-year-old Jerry Shirley from Apostolic Intervention, great name. So and they got to know Marriott befriended Frampton during 1968, and decided to form a band as the Small Faces fell apart. Really, they wanted to do other things, so they started off in 1969, and they became a big kind of live act. Really, their thing was the live shows that they did. Very, Marriott, extraordinary voice. Huge voice, only for a tiny man. He's only about 5'5", Steve Marriott. He's not very tall, but a huge voice. And they became a staple on the live scene in the early 70s. Really, I remember seeing them in the early 70s, and yeah, I mean they never really did that much charting. They had Natural Born Boogie, which was probably their biggest song, but. Other than that, didn't really, they had quite big albums, but nothing sort of mega huge. And they went on, they did three studio albums before deciding that Rock in the Fillmore was going to be their album, and I think it was an attempt to capture them at their best in a live situation, really. And so. That's a brief history of Humble Pie. If you want to go and check out the other bands, The Herd and things, they're worth having a look at. You can see a very kind of coiffured Peter Frampton, which is always a bit of fun. So, Rock in the Fillmore is from 1971, as I've said. It's a double album when it's released, and it kind of was compiled from 2 days, 4 shows. So 2 shows a day. Pay attention, all you rock bands out there. 2 shows a day.
Yep. That's correct. What were they? An afternoon and an evening show,
Yeah,
or a
be
morning?
a matinee. Yeah,
Yep.
afternoon and evening show. I think, I mean, I guess it's one of those things you point out to, so that's what, in those days, that's what you did, an afternoon and evening show, pack them in. And I can't imagine the toll it must have taken on Marriott's voice. A lot of people would be going after 2 shows, but cracking into them, and released as a double album at the time. Very much looking like a sort of bootleg album as well. I think that kind of vibe goes with the album when we get into the tracks and the listening. So, as I've said, they've not, this was their studio album, sold moderately well, all right, but this is the one they captured the lightning in the bottle, I've described as, and clearly in the Fillmore East, home of some of the most classic live albums, the Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore, Aretha Franklin, to name but 7. Fantastic. So it became their great breakthrough hit, cracks the top 25, goes gold, but the success was short-lived, and Frampton left not long afterwards, and clearly repeated the formula several years later with Frampton Comes Alive to even greater. All 4 nights were recorded, and by Eddie Kramer, no less a person than Eddie Kramer, the engineer. Of course, Eddie Kramer most famous for doing Jimi Hendrix, amongst others, but working with lots of people across the industry, and picking out the best tracks from that for a live double, and as we'll see, some of them quite long. Quite long. So I think to point out that the Fillmore is, unlike so many albums that we've talked about on here, and you guys have talked about, no reworking on this, no re-recorded guitars, bass, drums, everything else, or whatever. This is unvarnished, undiluted, and it is what they actually did on that night with those songs. And as such, I think has kind of, has unique power if you're into that sort of thing. I mean, I think I would say that it is a thing, isn't it? It's a particular thing. It is a sort of blues rock.
Oh no. Hopefully he comes back, Andrew.
Yeah, we're back. I just want to do a quick shout out then.
Jam record from 97, and that's I'm doing it. No, that's all right. That's right. I've come back. It's only a minor glitch. The hamster is pedaling harder.
It stopped from.
So yeah, I was just saying that. That's right. I was just saying that that it's in a sense it is an album from 1971, and with that unvarnished, unfixed. It's what they played on the night and what they did, and has I think a tremendous energy. But it is an album from 1971, and I think that's that's bear in mind when we're looking at it in detail. So anyway, yes, that's my intro. Shall we get into the tracks?
Do you want to go flick up
some
picks? Yeah. We'll flick up some picks.
Yeah, flick up some picks, and we can talk about. I don't know when you guys started listening to Humble Pie, how much you've heard at all.
Well, for me, I mean, I heard this record a long time ago, Simon, and it's been years. When I say years, I'm talking maybe even nearly a decade since I've listened to this record. So, great pick, because I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I don't know a massive amount about Humble Pie, and I was really looking forward to this because obviously you picked it, about them, so we want to get schooled by the rock professor. That's I've done my reading up on the band, and Andrew's showing some great pictures here. And at times when I'm listening to the record, I'm shutting my eyes trying to picture what it would have been like to be at the performance. And honestly, I've got to say, it would have been mind-blowing. There's some amazing chemistry and performing going on there. But yeah, so those pictures were really good.
Right, I've got another folder that we can flick up after we've done a couple couple of songs. But look, I have to agree with you, Brad. I think it's a phenomenal album, and I can't pretend to know anything about this band other than what any rock fan, superficial rock fan, would pick up. So I'm not an expert, other than I've always loved Steve Marriott's voice. I did have a VHS of him playing in the mid 1980s, and he's playing this ES 355, I think, and he's got this Marshall stack, and it's and he's balding, he's receding just a little bit, and I picked it up secondhand, Simon, and I just was blown away with how fluid his playing is. Certainly an unrecognised, I think, an unrecognised guitar player. I've been captivated and in awe with this album. I think I've just discovered the new thing for me. I'm looking forward to going more into this album, because there's other reprints or other reissues, Simon, which has fuller songs.
Yeah.
Peter Frampton, I knew about Peter Frampton because everyone had Peter Frampton Comes Alive Again. I had an uncle that played it and an aunt, and they were young, and I was about 10 or 12, around that age, listening to that album, and we all know it. It's great. So we all knew that Frampton was a great guitar player. But I've got to be honest, I'm just blown away by this album, Brad. I just think it captures it's what's the cliche? It's magic, lightning in a bottle.
Lightning in a bottle, yeah.
No, and when we get to the ranking of the songs, I'm going to repeat myself a lot, but
Me too.
I'll be saying it straight out now that there's some amazing guitar work, like dual guitar work going on, and there's some amazing chemistry with the bass, drums, and the guitars alone. They're so locked in, and they're jamming a lot. They're reading each other so well. So it's just amazing. I mean, I'm really glad you picked this one, because I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to this all week. It's been great. I
think one of the reasons, bro, I think why they play so well and so good and so tight is, let me just go through here quickly. They seem to be playing live, Simon and Brad, quite close. It's like the Stones were, in that 72 tour. They were compact, and I think that clearly must have an effect on how the music, Brad, comes across on the vinyl.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, you notice that, don't you, with those bands? All of them, they all, however big the stage is, they're always kind of in the middle, aren't they? They're always kind of, round the drummer. You see lots of pictures of Led Zeppelin, and they're not kind of over here, are they? They're kind of, they're in the middle, next to Bonham, Page to one side of John Paul Jones standing, probably 1 foot on the old, on the drum riser and things. And I think, and Plant in the, front in the middle. I think there's a thing about, I think that comes from then when they recorded live in the studio. Remember that, all this basic, we talk a lot here about all the basic tracks being done live. You're used to being in that situation where you're looking at your fellow musicians, you're, feeding off them. I mean, you're right. I was amazed by how the interplay works. If you play a 22-minute song, how, I don't really understand that. I'd have to go and ask them, but I don't really understand what the mechanics are of saying we're going to do this bit and then this bit, and I'm going to go and I don't understand whether that's an organic thing or whether that's semi-worked out, or but those kind of dynamics that they use, and that's a word I'm going to use a lot.
Yeah.
Is, I don't know whether that's an organic thing, whether that's semi-worked out, whether it's I don't know.
I think I personally think in that era, if I can answer that, Simon, would be like say Humble Pie, Zeppelin, Deep Purple, all the super groups. I call them super groups of that era. They were all really good at jamming and extending songs out. Like their record version might be 6 minutes, and it might turn into a 20-minute epic live. I do think that they would rehearse a lot, and sound checks were jamming. So they were just throwing this stuff in. And I think just when it comes down to it, they were very tight. Humble Pie obviously, rehearsed a lot. they probably played a lot together, and that musicianship, they're all equal. It's like fairly equal music. There's not one musician in this band that seems to be, you know, being carried by other members. They're all pushing each other, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I'm interested to dive into more of, like Andrew said, and I'm going to mirror what Andrew said. I know there's extended versions of this now with other night recordings or other recordings from the same nights. So I'm looking forward to doing a comparison between the other versions and see how close they are.
Bro, I'm glad you said that, because I think what we should do is we should come back and renegotiate this album, Rock Professor, because I don't have a lot to say about a lot of these songs because I haven't fully digested them, if you understand what I mean. You need to spend time with it to understand the shape and get the feeling of what's going on, other than the initial phase of being, when we all know what this is like when we're 14 years old and we're listening to an album for the first time and we've got the shock. And I'm in that phase. I'm in this like gushing, glowing phase with this album, Simon and Brad. I've got to admit it. So I look forward to renegotiating this or more of this this band's work later on with you guys.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think that's right. And I haven't heard it for a long, long time. I really haven't heard it for a long time. And one of the reasons some of the reasons I picked this album is because I haven't heard it for a long time. But I know it's it's talked about, and I go back and listen to it. I find I've listened to it about half a dozen times all the way through. I go out in the car and listen to it, which is driving. It's always good driving. Thank you, Hugh. Yes. Morning, Sonia. Hope you're good. And Johnny Heartbreaker as well. Morning, Johnny. And I think that that the other thing I do is, in my own small way, is I play along a bit. I think there's a thing about playing along to a record that just understanding musically what it is and where they are and stuff. I think I do that.
That's what that's been doing. That's what that's been doing.
Ah, the Firebird. Firebird, yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. I exactly. I hear what you're saying, and that's exactly what I did yesterday for a couple of hours. Just played it through my phone. Oh, I was going to swear.
No swearing, Mr. Walton. No swearing, Mr. Potty Mouth.
Played it, and I was just, captivated, blown away by it. I'm in love with it. I'm in love with this band. I want to know more about it. So I look forward to hearing, especially what the Rock Professor has to say on these tracks. It's I'm going to say this now. It's a mandatory album. It's I'm going to call this album, and I'll take it out of my notes. It's like a hidden gem for me because I don't think it's been given the credit that it deserves, and I'm glad we're addressing it because there's so much music, chemistry, and like there's a lot of brilliance in this recording, and I'm not sure that it's been addressed in the past. I've looked up a lot of stuff on YouTube, for example, on this record, and there's not a lot. There's not a lot.
There isn't, is there? No, there's not a lot of history about it and stuff like that. It's which is But
hey, Crappy, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Crappy. But, and as I say, and I think there's a thing about it because of the production, because of the way that it's quite an album of its time. Therefore, it sounds kind of out of time for now, in a way. I think there's an element of that is, it is true to itself and what it sounds like and when it comes from.
Well, this is what I was going to say during the first song, so I'm going to say it now. I get what you're saying, Rock Professor, but the warmth of this album is clearly in my ears because it's in time with the music that I'm listening to. And, comparisons is, it's what we do as human beings. We always want to compare things, yes, I'm the better looking one here today on the show, of course, and next week it'll be Brad, these comparisons. No, seriously, I was just trying to be a smart bastard, but,
No, keep going, I love it.
the comparisons that we do. So I just couldn't help making comparisons with this album and Get Your Ya-Ya's out. I just couldn't. I just I don't see that as a bad thing. I see this as a statement of what these rock bands wanted to do in 1969, 1970, 1971. This is how they measured whether or not, Brad, they were a good band by producing. If they could produce a live album just in that couple of years, that was the big dog.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say something that a little bit left of what you were saying there, Andrew, but it's similar. I'm listening to this and I'm picturing Johnny Winter live in the same era, that 1971. I'm hearing the same sort of sounds with the bands, the journey that the song's taking. For some reason, I'm listening to Humble Pie, and I'm still picturing Johnny Winter doing, obviously not Johnny Winter singing, but the musicality of it. So I think it falls a lot back on that era, the musicianship in that era. Pretty special time for musicianship,
Hey, Mark.
I don't really think that bands these days, and I'm not because I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but really get what these bands were doing at this particular time, because bands are so clean and tidy, and they've lost a little bit of that magic, in my opinion, of live performances, because it's just upfront crowd interaction and that's it. But these are actually, and I'm going to sort of take some notes out of my song ratings here. There's so much crowd interaction. They're getting the crowd to clap along in songs, and it's magic. What they're doing there is, I don't think a lot of bands these days actually capture what Humble Pie and like Johnny Winter and Zeppelin and all those bands were doing in this time frame.
Awesome. I've really enjoyed the introduction with my co-hosts. If you guys in the chat want to, I noticed there's a few awesome comments there where some cats have seen Frampton live. That's great. Let us know what you think of this album. Give me in particular some heads up on some other Humble Pie albums that you think, because I'll be honest, I am not up to par with this band, so I'm happy to go anywhere that anyone tells me to go, so long as it's a good place. Rock Professor, should we kick the show?
Yeah.
Should we kick it off for the first track?
Yeah, we'll just say hi to Mark Effects. Good morning, Mark Effects. I've not seen your name before, so welcome. Thanks for joining. So the first track is 4-Day Creep by a woman called Ida Cox, who was like a vaudevillian blues singer from the early part of last century, and it's a fairly classic. I mean, they come on, don't they, ladies and gentlemen? Humble Pie, quite a perfunctory introduction, and then but Marriott starts straight away, doesn't he? Saying, "All right," and doing that thing, as you say, Brad. It's a reach out to the audience, isn't it? And in a way that is different to what it is now, and then off they go into the blues riff, and pretty straightforward, with bass and drums, punctuation, which I think immediately gives you an idea about what the band is like. Twin guitars, Frampton's playing a harmony part in it, and hats off to Jerry Shirley, the drummer. He's tremendous drumming, I think, and you have the verse with the call and response stuff for the whole band. He sings, they play. He sings, they play, and you have various instrumental interludes. I say to them more than particularly huge solos, but it's it's a great opening, lots of energy, lots of upfront. Where's Brad gone?
Oh, he's just popped out. He's doing.
Oh, he's just there.
Yeah. There you No, I can see what he's doing down. He's doing something in the green room. He doesn't know that I can see him.
It's making me nervous. I think, as I say, anyway, yeah, setting the tone for the album. I think the twin guitar that Owen Frampton playing is Black Beauty, and I think Steve Marriott has a junior, doesn't he? It's a SG junior he's playing. I think he just got it. My memory is that.
Yeah.
So twin Gibsons, and twin Gibsons straight into a Marshall.
Correct.
Straight into Marshalls. No, nothing in between. No pedals. No anything like that. It's just all about the tone and the volume control, and what you can produce out of these. And I think that's, there's a lesson in that for us all. I think, you can get obsessed with, the pedals and the bits and all sorts of things, and I think that this is, the unvarnished. So it's a 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. A great opening track, tight, on the money, and energetic, and yeah.
Brad, backdoor man.
What they creep. Well, for me, I'm just going to say this straight off the bat. Here is a perfect example, in my opinion, of a Marshall dimed with a guitar plugged straight in it. Like they're just, if you want to try and explain what that sounds like to someone, the guitar tones on this record, that's exactly what it is. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but it's like those Marshalls are loud. They're not just at a stage volume. Like they're cranked to be getting that sound. They're phenomenal. And it's a great opening track. That's a great riff. It does sound like it sounds loud. I can imagine it would have been loud. Like your ears would be ringing leaving that venue. I'm almost guarantee it. The part with the harmonies, the guitar harmonies in the intro are really cool. Great vocals, the drumming and bass playing. For me, what's his name? The drummer, Jerry Shirley, was it?
Jerry Shirley, yeah. Jerry Shirley.
He in this shines. He's a phenomenal drummer. Phenomenal. I'm surprised he hasn't got more credibility than that. I think he deserves more credit than he's got. He's a phenomenal drummer, and obviously the guitar work, the bass playing, the vocals are stellar. Look, I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. It's never a skip, and I'm looking forward to, continuing to listen to his record more regularly, and I'm sure my rankings will change throughout time as well. But definitely a 9 out of 10 and never a skip for me, guys.
Yeah, look, I've got to agree with you. I just want to do a quick shout out to Deja Verde for jumping in and joining us, and Buchov, thank you for the nice comment that you made earlier. Look, and I think the Dog Pub made a reference to the Stones, saying that this is better than anything that the Stones produced. There was one comment that I want to echo, that the Rock Professor said, with Marriott straight away with his voice, how he's throwing it out to the crowd, or he's trying to draw the crowd in right from the word go. And it's no Mick Jagger saying, I think took my buttons popped. I popped a button in my trousers. You don't want to see my trousers fall down, do you? So it's completely different. It's Steve Marriott is there to deliver right from the word go, and it's a punch in the guts, and I love it, Brad. It's a stand and deliver statement by these English guys right smack in America. And I just think it's a statement, Simon. It's a statement that's underappreciated. I think the interplay between the two guitars, again, is right off the bat. Clearly, and I don't know who's playing what, so I'm not even going to pretend to say.
It's quite difficult to. I can pick out Frampton. I can pick out Frampton in those kind of fluid melodic lead lines.
Oh wow! So,
But-
so that's why we've got the rock professor on here, because he.
But I'm not saying I'm right. I think I can.
I'm not even going to pretend at this stage to work it out. Like I said, guys, in my intro, you know, it's not an album I'm completely. I'm not. You know, I'm green to it, bowled over by it, captivated by it. I'm in love with this album. I'm going to give this song a 10 out of 10. It gripped me. Because I have to. It's a 10 out of 10, Brad.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's great, but really tight and organised start, isn't it? Get you into the gig with kind of everyone a bit of a loose. I think it's works really well, and as I say, showcases what you're going to get in from the band in the rest of the gig. You know, it's kind of very powerful singing. I love the contrast with Steve Marriott singing in a sort of transatlantic accent and the very Cockney speaking voice. That's lovely. That's really good. Product of the times, definitely. So anyway, track 2 is "I'm Ready," which is the music is by Peter Frampton. I think they kind of reorganized it a lot, so that if you go listen to the Willie Dixon version of "I'm Ready," not quite the same as the or the Muddy Waters version. It's not quite the same as this version by a distance. But I like the way this is the first thing, that thing about "I wanna tell you," you know, kind of thing that Marriott does at the beginning. That kind of that singing. It's not just singing; it's singing the kind of the things you might speak as an intro, aren't they? He does it a few times, you know. Oh, those people behind the glass plate. That singing of the intros that everybody else would normally speak, I think is amazing, and it gives them tremendous power. And because he bangs them out, it's tremendous power. It's that singing the intros, I think, is the first time he does it on here. And then they go into the sort of heavy guitars playing a riff with a solo by Frampton, I think, hopefully. And again, the kind of the thing that struck me was the heavy drums, the way they stop and start, and that sound, those Les Pauls into a Marshall, turn it all up, and just that is a sound that you don't hear now, is it? And that undiluted bit, there's nothing between. The only thing between the guitar and the amp is the cable. It doesn't go anywhere else. It's not, it's not any other. Nobody felt any need for any more kind of overdrive or anything like that. I think that sound is one of the magical sounds, isn't it? It's a continuation of the Clapton, Les Paul into a blues breaker. To me, it's the next stage, bigger amps and stuff, but pretty much it's the same thing. I've got a Les Paul, I plug it into a Marshall, and that's the sound you get, and it is a sound like no other, isn't it? And I think it's that you get that feel. I mean, I think it's one of the great sounds, really, that sort of a thing. And just a mere 8 minutes long. So what interests me. The other thing that interests me about this song is that there are solos, but it's not one long solo, is it? There's not like a 4-minute, 5-minute solo jam. They do something for 60 seconds.
Solos.
Arpeggio solos, yeah. But they'll do a bit, and then do a verse, then do a bit with solo, then go back, and they'll do the riff, and then they'll do, that kind of band interplay, in a way that, as I say, it's not just the band will play 2-3 chords thing, and Frampton will solo for the next 3 minutes kind of thing. I'm amazed that on an 8-minute song it is that. It is a much more dynamic and changing.
I've got a theory on that, so I'll tell you what my theory is when I rank it. Good point. I'm glad you mentioned it, Simon.
Yeah, no. I think it is one of the things about this, isn't it? That 10 out of 10 from me. That's fantastic. Really getting into their stride. A mere 8 minutes, 30 seconds. and but for a four-piece, two guitars, bass, drums, and singing, it has a dynamic, it has changes all the time. Something else is happening all the time, and they really understand that, how you can get the best out of a four-piece. As we said, a straightforward sound. I'm not now turning on the the Leslie speaker or whatever it is, to get a different sound, which is fine. I'm not criticizing that at all, but this is very much about that band's dynamic and how they work. 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Fantastic.
Yeah, look, I have to sort of mirror a little bit of what you're saying, Simon. I mean, for me, I'm ready. It's the great vocal, the guitar interplay. There's such amazing vocal range too. There's, for me, sitting back listening to it, and like we alluded to in the header of the show when we did the intro, like these guys are singing like that every night, and two shows a day at times. That's crazy. So that's just that's unheard of these days. You know what I mean? Those drums when they come in, they're just slamming. It's a very sludgy riff. There's some classy dual guitar parts. It's I can't tell 100%. I think I can tell, Frampton's playing at times, and then I'm lost at times thinking who's that. But some amazing dual guitar parts. Very catchy riff. There's some really sludgy classic rock vibes going on. It's not like a blues band just playing. Like I'm hearing more classic rock, like extension of the blues. They're sticking to that blues formula, but they're not. It's not textbook. They're doing their thing. Kind of what I alluded to in the header as well. I feel like I'm listening to Johnny Winter live around the same era. There's something magical about bands in this era and the musicians back in this time frame that they absorbed what other bands were doing and they made it their own, but they were heavily influenced by other live acts. So these guys surely went and watched the likes of Johnny Winter, Led Zeppelin, any of those bands. I'm sure they probably went and watched Cream. And I mean, I'm picking up vibes all the way, and I'm picking little influences throughout this song. Johnny Winter, Cream, Led Zeppelin. Especially with the drumming, I'm hearing a lot of Zeppelin influence at times. Look, this song for me is 10 out of 10 without a doubt. I loved listening to this one. I listened to this one over and over. And as you know, you alluded to, it's a long song. So it consumes a lot of your time to listen to it over and over and over. So 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. Andrew.
Look, I have to echo what Simon said about the Marshalls, and the Les Pauls. It's just fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's up there again with what the cats are saying in the chat. It's up there with Cream. It's just it's that dialogue that used to happen back then. Gibson, Marshall, bang, and we all love that, don't we? We just love that tone. It just speaks to us a little bit differently than, say, what a Stratocaster does. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. I'm going to say too, guys. I'm hearing on this. I'm hearing. I think this album's hugely influential on other artists. I think this album's influenced Santana. I think this album influenced the jam on Can't You Hear Me Knocking by the Rolling Stones. It's got a little bit of that stuff going. I don't think the history on this album has been written. I'm glad that the Rip Professor mentioned that this was a blues standard written by a blues giant, that these British cats made their own, which is, again, one of the great things that these guys don't mind doing. In fact, it's... I don't think it's something deliberate, Simon. I think it's just what they do. They get together. And the short solos that you mentioned, these little arpeggiated solos, I think is a reflection of what they do in a jam. This band clearly must have jammed a lot together, you know, because they're just doing a couple of little bits and pieces, and then they're nodding at the other, and he's going away, and he's not, you know, rather than just, oh, bang. Because the solos, long solos, are for the crowd, are for the audience. But, you know, if you're doing these short little bits and pieces, you want to see what, you know, what's Brad doing and what's Simon doing, you know, and just being a little bit cheeky. I picked that up on this song. I think this song is certainly something that that the band loves doing for themselves. I'm going to give this song a 10 out of 10. Never a skip.
Yeah. As I say, I do think it's interesting that they do that going round bit and not, you know, quite often say, let's take the, you know, the, they do, like Cream, for instance, you know, they'll have a singing bit and then they'll have a long guitar solo, yeah, which is fine, you know. I'm not
Because
against
Clapton
it.
doesn't.
Because that's
Clapton
what
hasn't got
does.
another guitar player.
He hasn't got another guitar player. No, that's true. Yeah, to bounce off
you know,
and stuff. But you know, it feels kind of quite different to that, doesn't it? You know, Frampton will do a bit, 30 seconds bit, and
finally,
G Bushnoff is having a me moment with the technology. Why doesn't it work?
this show's famous because G managed to act.
Look at that. We're progressing in small steps. Well done, G. Fantastic. And good morning, Ambient Guitars UK. Well done. So, yes, I do think that is a different thing. That going round bit to what I kind of hear in other bands. Really, that kind of the dynamic is a different thing. You know, a real chatter now. Nice one. Anyway, lots of support for G there. So, sorry, early morning. Track 3 is Stone Cold Fever, which is I think it's not it's off our album. Which, as I say, I love the kind of that Cockney thing. It's off our album. Not how he sings at all, which is fantastic. Written by them, written by the band, and again, it has that thing. So they start off with a riff, joined by the bass and the drums come in, and the lead guitar, and then Marriott sings that tremendous voice that he has, that is really ripping into it and not holding back at all. I don't know how he managed to survive all those shows, but then it has another riff with a harmony by Peter Frampton, and then it has a verse, then it has a solo, and then and that's in the first 2 minutes 50. It's got all those things in it has a drop down 3:10 round about there, and has that kind of drums playing a steady 4/4 under the singing, and then they have another guitar riff, a 4/12, and then they have like an instrumental break with big chords and a harmony guitar, and then a riff, and then a big end. It's just an example of how much you can pack into kind of 6 minutes, and how much dynamic there is when the band play, and dropping it down, bringing it back up, leaving space. We talk a lot about space on these things. The bands from that era, and I think this is a really great example. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip, and another great example of Humble Pie at their best playing.
Hey Luca, hey Christine, thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah.
Well, for me, morning. Stone Cold Fever. Look, I'm hearing a real Sabbathy type riff in this one.
It's quite heavy, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It's got a Sabbath vibe to it, even though it doesn't sound like Black Sabbath. It's got that Sabbath vibe for me. The drumming and bass playing is great. The guitars, they sound loud. Like, they're loud. Again, there's some fantastic dual guitar parts. The solos, they're just unique. That like you got alluded to earlier there, Simon. They're just little snippets, and again, there's some fantastic dual guitar parts. They're having lots of fun on this song. You can tell they're really having lots of fun. The end solo, like the end of the solo, like the breakdown part, that's really cool. The vocals in that section, when they come back in from that breakdown, it's like tough as nails again. The harmony guitars, I don't know. I'm going to say it again. Is it just me or these guitars sound loud? Because I seriously think my ears would be going to a gig like this, and I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Never a skip, Andrew.
Yeah, look, I'm glad you made the Black Sabbath reference because, and I didn't want to be rude and say, you stop reading my notes again, backdoor man, but, you know.
I went backdooring them.
Yeah, look, I get it. I get exactly where you're coming from. I think it's another arrow in their bow. Just goes to show how smart this band is. They've turned the amps up past 10 clearly. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Whether or not they've kicked maybe a mic a little bit closer to. I've got no idea. But there's something definitely going on.
I think, Andrew, some of it is about something I read that there's the way they use a lot of room sound, yeah. So it's not only the close miking of the amps; they use a lot of room sound in the mix of it, which gives you that kind of bigger kind of sound. But I think that's what you're listening to is just what you hear so rarely and in such purity is that sound of a Gibson into a Marshall is. And I think you turn them. I don't know what they turn them up to. It probably isn't 10. Well, they maybe dimed everything to 10, but turn them right up and get some tone. And that because you've got that ambient room mic sound in the same way that when Clapton recorded the Beano album, that kind of ambient that mixes into it and gives you that kind of that feel about what that sound was like, as opposed to close miking it in a studio is a different sound and you get a different thing out of it. And I think that it does give it does give you more of an idea about what those things sounded like if you're in a concert hall in 1971 and the band come on, they start doing it, you go, wow, listen to that. and I don't think that you hear it. It's quite rare that you hear it in such a raw way, unmessed around with way, really, And I think, as I say, using the ambient, because the thing about the Fillmore East is it had it was really great, sound wise. The room was really good sound wise, and I think they used that in this album to tremendous effect. It's a bit like not quite the fifth member of the band, but that you're using it to enhance the sound of the band. So I think it's what you're hearing is pretty much pure and unadulterated sound of that Marshall thing, and in a way that you would have heard it when you went to see them live. And I think that's one of the great things about this record is that sound, because you don't hear it. I can't think of another album where you really hear it like that off the top of my head. I may be wrong, but I can't think there's some other stuff live albums around that time, but yeah, Dog Porro, I agree with that. That's a good point about understanding the importance of the engineer and recording. But it's just fantastic, the way it sounds. So yeah, and I think that's it for me. It's the sound, isn't it? Takes me back, the sound of 1971.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So that was side one. So moving on to side two. Side two is one song. I like to talk about vinyl things. A mere 23 minutes 25. And I must say, I did kind of approach this with some trepidation. I always approach songs that are 23 minutes long with some trepidation, slightly. There's a certain amount of 23 minutes. But I just it made me laugh having gone through it and made notes about it. That I don't know if you listened to the original version, Dr. John's original version. I listened to the original version, which is also quite long. It's about 8 minutes, I think, the recorded version. So it's, he's going for a sort of voodoo vibe, New Orleans vibe, Dr. John, when he's doing it. And but when I made all the notes about it, and man alive, it was a lot of notes. And I'm not going to read it all out. Don't worry. It's that starts off with a gentle singer, and then it's got that kind of. Did you keep thinking it was James Bond? I kept thinking it was the James Bond theme when he's near the beginning. The riff he plays near the beginning is almost James Bond, but not quite. Very not bad for a side ender. But I think the amount of what I like about this, what really makes this track is the way that they dynamically play together, the dynamics of the song. So you have big chords, drum solo, harmony guitars, big riff, drop down, loud bit. You have an atmospheric bit just for the verse, a loud bit with a solo guitar, dropping down, leaving the solo guitar to play much more on its own, and then you have singing, and then you have a soft instrumental passage, and then you come in with the heavy instrument. I mean, it's a fantastic kind of dynamic roller coaster of a song, and the way that they do it, and then you get to you get to 12 minutes, and then you've got harmonica solo, playing what sounds to me like the sounds a bit like the old Groves of Test intro. Stone Fox Chase. Area code 351. See, I'm sad old bloke. I'm the rock professor. I can remember this nonsense. So I think this is, it's amazing. I love this, and I wasn't necessarily expecting to love this on memory, but it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a fantastic tour de force of dynamics and understanding about playing the dynamics of playing in a band and making it work in so many different ways. Justifiably 23 minutes and justifiably a 10 out of 10 for me, and as the kind of centerpiece really of the album, one of two, but the centerpiece of it, it's amazing to me, and absolutely 10 out of 10 for me. Never skip. You get drawn in and kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, look, for me, I always dubious when I look at the track listing and there's on one side it's one song. It's like, whoa, what are we in for here? We're in some sort of journey, or and obviously going into this track ranking with this album, I haven't heard this for a long time, so I was like, I can't remember the song. I want to listen, and I have to say, I just love that rollback sort of mellow guitar tones with the arpeggiated chords. That was like the highlight for me straight off the bat. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And obviously the amps are dying. They've just rolled back the volume a little bit on the guitar, and they're playing that intro. The lead work on the intro, it's not bluesy. It's classic rock at its best for me. It's this is me being very pedantic. Obviously, live performances, sometimes guitars tend to go out of tune and things like that. There's a tiny bit of slight dissonance in the guitars because one of them is slightly out of tune to the other one. And I think that might have happened just because of the nature of playing live. You're bending strings. It's just, for me, I'm hearing it.
The Gibsons.
Yeah, well, that too. It could just be one string that's slightly off in it, but it gives it what I'm trying to get at. It adds character, and it made it more interesting for me as well. The harmony parts are really cool. I love the stop accents. The way they do it, it's so classy. There's some wonderful guitar playing. The band's just absolutely dialed in and keeping it really tight. Lots of chemistry and dynamics. Their jamming is just dynamic. 10 minutes in and it takes a whole new path. There's something at that 10-minute mark, you could be, forgiven if you thought you're listening to something from Black Sabbath's first album, like Warning or something like that. There's a little bit of that there. The harmonica is very bluesy, and then when it gets to 15 minutes 40, the riff, starts again, jamming continuously. Then there's some wonderful, wonderful guitar parts, dueling and whatnot. Look, 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip, and quite a probably one of the best tracks on the record once you start diving into it for me. Andrew.
Yeah, look, I have to agree with you. I listened to this track a few times over the last week. Captivated by it. Never heard it before. I want to echo what Brad, the Backdoor Man, said too by the track listing. I was looking at it and I was a little bit scared. I thought, oh, here we go. We're going to go on a Frank Zappa kind of thing, It's going to be, maybe some jazz going to be thrown in. You just don't know when you see some of these long songs, But pleasantly surprised they stuck to that rock and roll thing, which is always going to keep me listening to it. The arpeggiated chords, bro, that you mentioned, very subtle. Never picked up the tuning thing, so you got me intrigued there. So I'm going to go back and but I'm bad like that though anyway. So, but yeah, I'm intrigued, and that's one of the reasons why we've got Brad here, because he has that production experience that I certainly don't have. So thank you, bro, for pointing that out. What again? And then, so after listening to this a couple of times, I'm kind of making some mental notes here. It's not taking you down a Led Zeppelin path, is it? Like a Stairway to Heaven thing. It's not about painting a picture or a journey for you. It's just like a rock and roll song, that these guys wanted to do and clearly had the chance to do, Simon, on this album. It was a live album. They'd already signed the deal. They knew exactly what they were going to do. They were going to have 20 minutes, and they said, well, let's just go for it. And one other thing I want to make here too, in my little bit of research that I did, wasn't really appreciated by the so-called experts at the time, and it was, I think it was a C or a C minus by some rock and roll critics, but we're not fans and friends of them here on the show, though. Anyway, are we? Because a lot of them don't really know what they're talking about. Look, I'm going to give this a Brad score for me. I'm looking forward to diving deeper into this song. I haven't even tipped. It hasn't got past my ankles. I look forward to immersing myself more into it. It's 100 out of 10. Love the song.
Yeah, wonderful. It's an amazing thing. Like I said at the very head of this, those bands in this era, they just had a knack for keeping things very dynamically tight. They were well rehearsed. They jammed well. You couldn't imagine that the performance would be any different, in my opinion. And when I talk about that dissonance in the tuning, it's probably not that big an issue, because they're kind of playing different things, but it's right at the start. You pick it up at the start, just somewhere like once the two guitars start, you'll pick it up.
Yeah.
If you really pay attention. But other than that, it's like I said, it just adds a little bit of character to it. I think it's actually quite unique. It's good.
It's probably that G chord on one of those Les Pauls, as Simon said, it's that Gibson G chord, G string.
Yeah.
Hey, Backdoor Man, it's that G.
Man.
Yeah, nothing. Let's leave it there and move forward.
The other thing I pick up on is, Brad, what you said, that this is a blues rock album. It's definitely got the rock in it. It's not a straight blues thing. It is definitely, has that blues thing in it, but is as much a rock album as it is a blues album. And I think that's, 100%. It's kind of taking that genre forward and moving it into that blues rock thing, where the rock thing is, what you play, clearly with the blues backbone, lots of pentatonics and stuff. But And see, Luca Ferreira picked up on my on the James Bond thing, the little James Bond sort of. It sounds so like the James Bond theme, but it's jolly good fun. But yeah, I think that's a good point about it being definitely the rock bit, and in that beginning, and you could see the influences. I'm sure. Sabbath were going about at the same time, so I'm not sure they necessarily were influenced by Humble Pie, but but you can see that guitar sound being taken on by bands in the future, can't you? And making more rock, and that that sound becomes the sound, doesn't it? Certainly, heavy metal and stuff and things. Anyway, track 5 already on side 3. we have Rolling Stone, which is clearly a Muddy Water song, but arranged by Peter Frampton and Steve Barrett and the rest of the band. And I think this made me laugh. This is quite a sort of cheeky song, really, isn't it? It's again, it's got that kind of big blues guitar riff at the beginning, and Marriott. I love the fact that Marriott speaks in that Cockney accent. I really know, but and it sings in that transatlantic kind of American accent. Again, a tremendous lesson in dynamics of how a 4-piece can really make a what's this, a 16-minute song. Again, really make it into something that flows and moves and changes and keeps your interest and keeps you going. Yeah, it's I don't know if you noticed this but something's beeped out halfway through. Did you notice that? About 5 minutes in, there's something actually beeped out but it's beeped out. I noticed it was beeped out on YouTube, which is but it's also beeped out on the CD as well. I don't know what it is that's beeped out, but something is beeped out. It's really funny. It sounds really incongruous on a CD because you expect it not to be, But somebody's gone. Well, don't know. We'll find out. I'll try and find out what it is, but I couldn't. But it's. I think that it's a Muddy Waters song, but Marriott's kind of made this whole kind of thing about he's going out with this girl and her mother's definitely interested, and he's saying I'm a Rolling Stone, which made me laugh. All that kind of speaking bit in the middle, sort of speaking bit in the middle of that. You can do anything you want to her, but don't forget about me. So 1971. It's and then you've got the audience participation thing that Brad you were talking about earlier. Sing Rolling Stone, and he gets someone to do it, and they're all doing it and stuff, and great solos, and as I say, the dynamic with the bass and the drums particularly coming in, dropping out, coming in, dropping out, and solos as well. But again, not 5-minute solos. Little punctuations, little bits of colour that change the dynamic of the song. So 10 out of 10 from me. Never skip. I really love the longer songs on this track. I wasn't necessarily expecting to think that they were, but they are a thing. But I think 10 out of 10 from me. I was drawn in, and the lyrics made me smile and laugh. Cheeky lyrics. So and a classic blues ending to finish it off. Who could not think that was a good idea? Brad.
Gotta love blues endings, mate. Gotta love them.
Yeah.
Look, it's a cool take on the Muddy Waters classic. Obviously, I agree they've made it their own. They're obviously lyrically, but musically, it's in the same vein, but it's humble pie. You can tell it's there. They're trying to make it like their own song. That all the accents are really caught perfectly by the whole band. Like they're just so tight. The vocals again, some quite intense and amazing vocals. That his ability is just outstanding. To a point where it sounds really serious, like he's really giving everything he's got. It's quite amazing. Again, there's some awesome guitar playing. I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself now. Like the band's so cooking in this song. 7 minutes 40 into it, there's some really swinging blues stylings, some great crowd interaction in this song, and I love the double time, in the song towards the end as well. That's great, and the lead guitar playing is fantastic. Look, I gave this a 9.5 out of 10, and it's never a skip. Andrew.
Top marks to the record company for not putting these two songs on one vinyl, because I'm sure that would be the record for a lot of people back in '71. I just think it's fantastic. I'm just captivated by this song. It complements the song that we've just listened to. You can't go wrong with Muddy Waters. It's interesting that for me, the standout on this is Greg. Is it Greg Ridley, the bass player? Just phenomenal. I'm looking forward to digging more into Spooky Tooth, some other stuff that he's got. You guys all know, if you regulars here, that Brad and I are closet bass players. We just. There's just something captivating about the bass. It's really important. It's a really important thing. And I caught the disease when we were listening to John Paul Jones, from Led Zeppelin. He's the guy that just pushes the song forward. And, the Rock Professor said it. There's only 4 people on this album. It's only 4 people. It's just phenomenal. I can't talk about the song other than I've got to go and listen to it. It's brilliant. I think the rhythm section especially deserve top marks for it. The fact that they can provide that for these 2 guitar players to go out and do what they've done on this album is just phenomenal. I have to Brad score this the same as the last song. It's 100 out of 10. It's never a skip.
All right. Love it.
The way that they draw you in, and they, it clearly it has the Muddy Waters basic backing to it, but they have made it their own with their own kind of version of the lyrics and things, about being a Rolling Stone and all that stuff, which is fantastic. I think, it's a mark of a great cover, really, isn't it? If you can make it your own, so that you don't just naturally think, oh yes, and that's Muddy Waters, and I wish it was Muddy Waters, kind of thing, but you get drawn into what it is of itself. I think that's
Simon, can you hold your CD up for Christine, because she's
Christian? Of course I can.
She's shit-faced. So she wants to know what album we were discussing. I didn't say that. She said it.
Not again, Christine. Christine is taking this into this is there we are, Christine. That's what we're doing. If I hold it,
it's Sunday afternoon where she is. She has every right to be.
Christine is clearly our show and cocktail hour are corresponding, aren't they? Well done. Somewhere in the world is cocktail hour, and Christine's on it. So well done, Christine. And that's what we're discussing. Oh dear, that's funny. Good night, G. Bushing off. Sleep well, mate. I'm glad you got the @ sign sorted on YouTube comments.
Don't forget to mention our channel, bro, when you jump on other people's shows, that the British Electric Blues show got the G to @.
We showed you how to do it.
Yeah, we got
unlike all of the other ones. Yeah, unlike those other shows, which don't show you. Oh dear. Sleep well. Thanks for joining. So anyway, side 4. Yes, folks, side 4. We have track 6, which is Alleluia, I Just Love Her So, which is, of course, the Ray Charles classic. That's right, Deja Voodoo. Absolutely. Yep. If you run it, yeah, don't play two 32 bar ones. Yes, absolutely. Whistle it off to somebody else. So yeah, Hallelujah, I Just Love Her So, which is clearly the Ray Charles classic, and their take upon it. And I think for the only time on this, Frampton shares the lead vocals on it. And I think it's
Yeah.
interesting that he's not quite the singer that Marriott is he?
Cor-
You know,
yeah.
and he
Yeah.
hasn't quite,
Not yet. Not yet.
not yet. No, and that was the point I was going to make. That it's this kind of embryonic lead singing a bit. The contrast with Marriott is, not one that nobody wants really, do you? But he goes for it manfully, and I think that's good. But yeah, I think he clearly when you get to Frampton Comes Alive, and he does great singing on that, and
Yep.
he's progressed a lot since in the 4 years since this. It is about 4 or 5 years. So I think unusually for them, it's fairly faithful representation. Sort of rock version of Hallelujah Just Love Her So. With a Senna guitar riff, da, 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 going straight into it. Again, you have the intro riff, you have the harmony guitar playing it. Frampton playing a harmony guitar. You have a little guitar solo, and then you have like a drop down in 3 minutes. 3:05, a drop down. And they sing Hallelujah, and it. I think this is probably this is 8.5 out of 10 from me. I think it's it's a good version.
Yep.
It's fine. Does its job where it is. It's got plenty of energy and plenty of things, but not quite as heavyweight as the other ones. And by the way, that's fine. I don't think you can have everything
Correct.
to be heavyweight, and I think some things are just and I think this is a fine version of it. And I have nothing against 8.5 out of 10 from me.
Cool, Brad.
Look, this has got a raunchy vocal on it, and the riff is really catchy. I love the way they utilize the dual guitars. It's done, it's an amazing guitar duo, really. When you think about it, they played amazingly together, and the way the band catch the accents is just remarkable. I'm still like from the last song and previous songs where there's lots of accents. I'm just amazed at how well and how tight the accents are in the songs. There's not one sloppy little stop-start bit or anything when they're catching everything. They know each other so well. I love the swing in the song. It's got a real cool swing to the song. Look, I'm on the same sort of wavelengths as Simon. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's a great song. But in context of all the songs, that's where I rated it. It's still never a skip for me. Andrew.
Yeah, look, I'm going to agree with you guys. It's the parallel I get is Rambling on this album by Clapton. Clapton gets a vocal, and it's not it's he's just progressing into the field of becoming a vocalist. And I kind of get the thing with Frampton too on this, and I don't like the contrast between the two voices, guys. Clearly it's a song, it's a live song. I could just imagine the girls in particular being like really impressed, that Frampton was centre stage there, doing a bit of singing because he had that appeal. He was, and that's important to rock and roll. You got to have that kind of element to your front of house presentation.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, only because it doesn't have that shock that I'm getting from all the other tracks. And I just want to echo what the Rock Professor said too when he gave it an 8.5 out of 10. That's not a bad thing. The 6 isn't a bad thing either, but I'm just not blown away, Simon and Brad, by this song as I had been by the others.
No, I think in its defence that, as I say, it in the place in the set, it does a particular thing. It's a bit of, if you like, light relief. It's a bit of, much more, and they tackle it in a much more straightforward song. And they tackle it in a straightforward way. With their bits of guitar solo and stuff to make it, so it's 5 minutes, not 3. But pretty much, it's much more of a straightforward 3-minute pop song, if that makes sense for a 5-minute song. But I think that as a contrast to that And what follows, I think it's, if you, and clearly we always talk about those, the way you contrast an album. You can't have one thing all the way through. It doesn't work. So you've got to have lights and shade. You've got to have contrast. So I think this is about shade and contrast. And I think it works fine. But yeah, you're right. It's an 8.5 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10 version of it. Which is all right. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I would defend it again. Is my usual thing. I defend it where it is and what it does as much as anything else. And having that light and shade is good. So on to the the seventh and last track, side 4. I Don't Need No Doctor, which is another cover version. This is Ashford and Simpson, well known sort of Motown, I think, writers, Joe Armstead, and I mean, again, I go that that amazing kind of Cockney voice that Steve Marriott has. So it's complete odds with his singing voice. We ain't half had a guess. We're going home on Monday. You've had a guess. We've had a guess. It's just just amuses me that it just sounds funny in a way, as I say, because it's so in contrast with his singing voice. Again, this has it's quite long, but it has that dynamic, has the things in it. It has start off fairly straightforwardly, with verse, chorus, and a verse and a chorus, then they do a solo, then they have a drop down to bass and drums, and the audience join in, clapping along and stuff. So it's a bit of audience participation, and then you've got Frampton comes in with clear melodic guitar solo. And then you've got the 5 minutes, you've got a drop down again, and then he starts singing, have you had a good time? Had a good time, and drawing the audience in, again, getting them to respond to what he's doing. And then go back to chorus, and he's got and he has that 7 minutes, he has like humming the melody kind of thing as well. So again, sort of wordless singing. And then you've got, at the end, you've got back into the heavy ascending chords. And singing I Don't Need No Doctor, and to the end with a solo guitar solo at the end of it, which is again another lesson in dynamics of what you can do to make a song 9 minutes long and be really interesting. 9 out of 10 for me, never a skip, really good, love it. Brad.
Yeah, for me, I Don't Need No Doctor. It's got a really cool, tough intro. The band's really cooking. Again, great vocals, and I really enjoyed the BVs in this one. There's a lot of energy in this song. I love the guitar solo. I'm just going through my notes here. The breakdown after it, where they got the clapping and the crowd interaction, that I really enjoyed that. I thought that was this band do that really well, is why I've noted it. That they get that crowd interaction. You can't help but feel the excitement in the crowd while they're getting involved. Like the next solo after the breakdown is great. I'm not sure who that is. The bass and guitars are really locked in together, and they're in this song in particular, but throughout the album, there's some really nice stuff going on where the bass and guitars are working well together, and this is one of those songs. And again, props to the drummer. I mean, he had the biggest job in his band, in my opinion, other than he was holding it together, especially in those jam sections. He's such an amazing drummer. So I have to give this like a 9 out of 10. It's never a skip for me. Andrew?
I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. That interplay of the guitars after the cloud of crapping, I just think it's just...
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal. I can't describe it. I'm captivated by it, Simon. I've listened to it about half a dozen times over the last week. I'm just looking here. The way that they've caught the interaction with the crowd on this last song is very clever. It's a very clever thing because because it's like it's like the crowd is, and the audience is clapping the last song, and clearly it is on the album. It's the last song, but I'm getting that vibe. I when I sat through this the first or second time, I just felt like I'd been to this concert. It's phenomenal. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I'm looking forward to. I've ordered the 4-track on Amazon yesterday. I've ordered the 4-track CD. I've got to get it, and I have to study it. And like I was saying to you guys before at the top of the show, I look forward to listening to Smoking, which apparently is their breakthrough album, which interestingly came out after Frampton had left, and apparently the mojo that Steve had in being the front man and the leader of the band was something that he rose up to. So it's an interesting little dynamic, isn't it, that we like to talk about, guys. Sometimes two guys in a band can play off like the Glimmer Twins and work really, really well, and sometimes, it can be a problem, and we can see that in another band that this channel follows reverently, Van Halen. It can be a pain in the backside. So I think the song is it's a crafted song by the engineer, Simon. And you mentioned him at the beginning of the show, Eddie Kramer. Just phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. They caught something for me. I'm captivated by it. If I could send you a coffee voucher, Simon, or a pint, thank you for allowing us to sit and listen to this album, because if someone had mentioned it to me, I probably would have listened to a couple of songs and moved on, but because we have to prepare ourselves for this show, we've got to listen to the songs a few times. So thank you.
It does make a difference, that, doesn't it? That thing about, I've got a week, I've got to listen to this record. Because I quite often, approach, you listen to an album the first time and you go, what am I going to get out of this? I'm like, oh, I know that's going to be my reaction to quite a lot of things, So you have to go around 3 times, Simon. Come on, you need to get again the second time, and then you'll start to get it. And I need to play along a bit to it. I need to, I have various ways of getting into it. As I say, one of them is going out. If I'm driving my daughter to school or something, it takes a while. I could put it on in the car, and I get into it because you can listen to, I can listen to probably the whole, not half the CD on my way back from taking my daughter to school. So you get 4 or 5 songs, 6 songs in. You really get into the vibe of the album, what it is, and what it's trying to do. And as I say, you've got to listen to them 5 or 6 times before I then start to click into them and really understand what they're doing and how they're working. But I often don't the first time or two. But that's right. I know that about myself, so I blast past it, But it's always a thing. So I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I think as I have a sort of list of bands, people I think, and clearly that they were on the list of us to do, kind of thing. So and
I look
really
forward
pleased.
to deep diving on a couple of other Spooky Tooth. There's Chicken Shack is another album. Juicy Lucy. There's the Blues Explosion. We're getting a few recommendations from some guys. Luca has asked us to do one album too. So yeah, it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to do more than just listen to the album, Simon. I'm going to, I don't know enough about Steve Marriott, and I owe it to what we do here to read a little bit more about him. Brad.
Indeed.
Yeah. No, I have to sort of agree with you both. And Andrew, you sort of thanked Simon for picking this one. I'm going to thank you as well, because again, I have to mirror what Andrew said. I don't know if I would have dived into this album the way I have and given it like you said, Simon, we have to go through the songs and we have to listen to them. We have to have for our preparation, guys, if you don't know, what we do on this show is we actually study the songs. We work out, what's going on. We put a fair bit of time in behind the scenes. It's not just listen to it once and give a ranking. We actually do our homework. And if it's something we're not familiar with, we have to do a lot of homework. And we're familiar with this stuff, but we might not have given this stuff enough of a chance, which I'm glad that Simon picked this one. So that's all I have to really say. And I'm looking forward to maybe doing a part 2 of this with the extended Fillmore, performances that are available and things like that, because I'm actually interested to put them A and B and pick if there's a double up of a song or whatever, and see what the difference is, like whether they changed it much throughout the performance each night, or that was pretty staple. That's how we did it. Because to me, there's quite a bit of jam magic going on there. Doesn't sound like to me that they did it the same way every night.
Yep.
No, that's
and
true.
Look at that cool comment there, Simon. Crappy Luxury. You want to read that out?
I would never have picked this out for the show. A real surprise. I hope in a good way, Crappy. I mean, and I do sometimes slightly worry, that you can dig really deep, and then if it's not that great, and the albums maybe aren't, you dig into anything, and some of the albums maybe aren't that great. So I do think about it and think about, is this going to go on the show and stuff, and are people going to like it and want to dig into it and stuff. So it's always a bit worrying. So thank you very much for that.
It gives us the confidence to maybe once in a while pull out some of these left field albums. Hugh's put this awesome comment in there saying Stan Webb, thumbs up. So, I know that we've spoken about Chicken Shack before, and Juicy Lucy. So it just gives us a bit of confidence because these bands need to be negotiated, because, some of the stuff that they've done is just phenomenal. So, yeah. So who's got the pick for the next album? Brad?
No, because I did LA Woman.
It's you, Mr. Walton.
I think it might. Oh, no, I'm not going to pick that album, because I'm going to leave Brad to do that one. So I've got a couple of things that I might throw around with my co-hosts here. And as usual, once we make that decision, you guys have to follow the Rock Professor, who is getting scratchety, tatchety, hatchety on Instagram. You've got Brad the Backdoor Man just, laying it down on there for us. And once we release it, obviously we have to get John ZD351 to add some touches. Aren't we spoiled?
Cool.
Very spoiled. And we're extremely grateful.
Yardbirds.
Yeah, I've got the Yardbirds on my list. The Dogpert, don't worry. I've got the Yardbirds on my list.
So when we okay, so there's a couple of cats that want to jump in with us. So when we do Hard Rain, someone wants to jump on with us, and there's a
you mean,
deep.
Oh, the Muddy Waters Hard Rain. What am I thinking of?
The second album, John Mayall's second album with Peter Green.
John Mayall's second album. Yeah, okay, yeah. Hard again.
And there's another cat that wants to jump on with us when we do a what do you call it? A Deep Purple album, because you know how we've always been saying to people, if you guys want to jump on, if you're regulars in the chat.
Yeah.
So I'm quite. I'm. We got to be true to our word, gentlemen. So, Shape of Things. Yeah. There's some good stuff coming up. Some good stuff. We got some good stuff coming up. Trust me. If you guys want to fire through any kind of suggestions, always happy to do that. We might do a bro down during the week. We might do a bro down because Brad's been hobnobbing it with some famous people, so I might get him on to talk about what he's been hobnobbing about.
Yeah, cool. It's
We've got a 5150 show coming up too, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, what are you doing on that? What are you doing on the 5150 show?
We had a couple of ideas and one of them had to be changed because of availability of one of the members of Fair Warning. So I think we're going to be doing a bit of a prequel to Mr. Hosford's equipment. Are we, Andrew? I think that's what we've been discussing.
Yeah, cool.
So we're going to nerd out. We're going to nerd out on some gear. We're going to talk gear and tone and all that kind of stuff that Van Halen fans love to contradict each other on and share opinions on. One thing that's very clear, though, Rock Professor, from a majority of Van Halen fans globally, they're blown away by the tone that Simon Hosford got on that guitar show. And so he's said to Brad that he's happy to share that wisdom with us live. So we look forward to that. And then eventually, when they can get out there and gig, Brad's going to go on location and do it for us live. So that's the one. That's the one that we can't wait for.
Look, I was privileged this week to speaking to Hosford a couple of times, and he sent me the first half of the Live Without a Net guitar solo recorded with his guitar and his amp. Did he send that to you, Andrew, by any chance? Did you heard that?
No, he said that he was going to flick it, but I can't wait. I can't wait.
I got goosebumps. I don't think I've heard anyone pull it off as close as that. It actually sounds like Eddie. I know there's a lot of people that can do it really well, and I'm not knocking anyone, but my goodness, I think we're in for a real treat is what I'm getting at. I think we're in for a real treat. So prepare yourselves, people, because it's very eerie. It's
cool.
to hear. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. Just the guitar. That's all it's done.
The solo, in the live performance, Live Without a Net, the solo Ed does. It starts off with a little piece like 316, and then it goes into an elaborate solo, which ends up being Eruption. But it's phenomenal. Like Simon's got it note perfect. Like the inflections, the feel, everything is crazy. I actually got lost and forgot I was listening to Simon Hosford. No, I'm serious.
No, that's no better compliment than that. No, it's fantastic. Yeah.
And I sent him a little email back, but I can't express in an email how it hit me because I felt like I was hit by. The fur was standing up on the arm. And it was like it's quite eerie. So he's got a fair few really cool ideas, and we were talking about reassessing some things. I don't want to allude to too much because I don't want to let our, cards that we're holding close to our chest away too much at the moment. But man, if you want to know about Van Halen, this is the place to be.
Yeah. And could I say on that note, the drums thing was really good with Jerry. It was really cool, because I haven't seen anybody talk about the drums, and that talk about the drums was really good.
Yeah.
Look, it's really good.
That was a big show for us, and we've had some outstanding responses, even verbally, at some of the people that I wouldn't expect to get a response from have contacted us, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
So that's outstanding. Great.
There's the answer, crappies. If you go back, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, we did Rory Gallagher live in Europe.
Yeah. Yep.
And we might do.
Irish tour.
There's some other Rory Gallagher stuff to do. Absolutely. Yeah.
No, we've got some some Irish stuff, some more Irish stuff coming. He's a great component to this show. We've already said that we'll do some more Rory stuff. So it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Thank you very much, Brad and Simon, for the awesome shout out for the drum show and pushing Hoss. He's a big part of the 5150 show, so we look forward to doing more with him. Thank you, bro, for mentioning that. We are blessed to have his experience and expertise on with us. with Brad, myself, and the Rev. We look forward to doing that. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. If you're watching a replay, we would love your subs. We're up to 750. We've given ourselves till Christmas to get 1,000. Don't know how we're going to do, but one sub at a time. Remember, if you're building anything that you're doing on your social medias, let us know. We'll help you with what we've got here. So all subs to our channel get an immediate sub back. We've got our community page, so stay tuned and watch that. I'm going to add everyone else's social media links to our community page. If you want to be part of that, let us know. Follow Brad. Follow Simon on Instagram. And you'll find me there if you want to hang out with me there too. I promise I'll put some more banjo clips on.
Yeah.
We like your clips. But the thing we love about your clips, Andrew, is there's a purity to what you're doing, and it's honest, and we love it. So you got to do more.
Yeah,
cheers,
work.
brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we like playing.
Who's going to do the final shout out? The
Well,
Rock Professor?
I'm going to say thanks to everyone who joined in the chat. We'd had a lot of chat tonight, so fantastic. So thanks to Tim Thomas, 7/8, Jay, John ZD351. Thank you, John, for all your contributions. Fantastic, and the Instagram stuff is brilliant. Teresa, of course, Mark Tanner, the Dogper, lots of stuff from the Dogper tonight. Arvin, of course, Arvin. Thanks, Arvin, for being here. Ellen, thank you, Ellen. Hugh Caldwell. Don't want to miss anybody. Heather Perry, thanks, Heather. I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for the sub as well. That's fantastic. Julia Baldassara, thank you, Julia, for joining in. Scroll around the bottom, I think. Johnny Heartbreaker, and he was in. So thanks, Johnny. Hugh Caldwell as well. Thanks, Hugh. Lots of Sonia, of course. Hope you're good, Sonia. Hope you're all right. Sunny, Texas. Yes, there's Johnny. Mark FX. Thanks, Mark, for joining. G Bushnoff. Finally got G on the at. Success. Teresa. Deja Voodoo. Hi, Deja Voodoo. Thanks for joining. Ambi Guitars UK. Crappy Luxury. Changing your name. What else I got? I think that's probably pretty much everyone. I know we've got it's the cocktails. Luca Ferrer. Yeah, Luca. Hi, Luca. Thanks for joining. And where is she? Sorry, this is scrolling through a large amount of. I'm going down the bottom. Christine, of course. Christine with her cocktails, having a lovely time. Thanks for joining again, Christine. It's good to see you. Helen Winter as well. Thanks, Helen. And hopefully that's everybody that I've got. So thanks all for joining. Hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And go and investigate Humble Pie live at the Fillmore. It's a great record.
Yeah.
Also,
great choice, Simon, and thanks for picking that one out. Yeah, so guys, just another thank you to all the subscribers, the new subscribers, and everyone here. We know there's lurkers in the background, but everyone commenting in the chat, thank you so much. Anyone that's watching this later and has enjoyed this, if you haven't already subscribed, please give us a sub and share our channel. That's the only way we're going to get to 1,000. You guys are helping us, which is, we can't thank you enough. We put a lot of effort into the show, and we do it for you guys. So, we do it because we love it, but we do it for you guys to enjoy it. So please give us a sub, share the channel. Let's get this thing up to 1,000. I know we can do it. We're not far off the end of the year, but hey, I'm optimistic. I think we can hit 1,000 by the end of December. Let's do it. Let's do it. See you guys.
Bye, guys. Have a good week. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.